Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Kalanati. Today I'm going to do part one of a two-part video, probably, about my most anticipated 2016 releases. This is not going to be in any way an exhaustive list of exciting things coming out in 2016, and it's not very well organized. It's mostly just by a publication month, if I think I know what the publication month is. So this is really going to be a grab bag, a mix of standalones, first in series, continuing series, and some stuff that aren't even novels, so there you go. I may have to do one of these later in 2016 when the second half of the year is clearer and things have been announced for that. But for now, I have a list of 21 or 22 things, and I'm going to start telling you about those. First is All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders, coming out from Tor in January 2016. This book was not on my radar until very recently. I think I've seen it on a couple of people's most anticipated 2016 release videos and lists and so on. I'm not really aware of Anders as an author. I know she works at io9.com. I've read some stuff by her there. I think she's an editor over there. I believe she's also a really prolific short story writer, but really haven't read any of her stuff. But when I finally read the synopsis of this book and thought about it, I really want to read it. It seems to be about contemporary wizards in San Francisco trying to heal the ailments of the world that's headed towards an apocalypse. So it's like contemporary fantasy addressing modern day climate change issues, and I'm very interested in climate science fiction, so it'd be really interesting to read a fantasy take on this scenario, so I definitely need to get my hands on this book. The next one is not going to be surprising to anybody who's been watching my channel for a while or knows how much I love the Vorkosigan Saga by Lois McMaster Bujold. I love Bujold, and the 16th Vorkosigan Saga novel, Gentleman Joel and the Red Queen, is coming out in February 2016 from Baen Books. I can't wait. I can't wait. I think this is the first book in 30 years since Shards of Honor and Bar-Rayar that focuses on Cordelia, Miles Vorkosigan's mother, as the main character. I am just so excited for this. I don't think I can really tell you anything about the plot because I don't really know anything about the plot. It has something to do with Commander Joel and Cordelia, the Red Queen, and I do think it's going to take place a couple of years after major character death, so I don't want to spoil anything for previous books, but I'm very, very interested to see what Cordelia is up to after some major events. February is my birthday month, so if any of my family members are watching this, this is the book I want. I want this book. It's coming out early in February, so I expect to get this as a birthday present. Also in February, another book that I don't think I ever expected to get because it's been like 6 years, is the 10th book in the Young Wizards series by Diane Duane. This is called Games Wizards Play. You can tell I have the first 9. I love this series. It's like a YA fantasy series, but it also really blends magic systems with science and like science fictional settings on other planets with aliens and stuff. So you're fighting a big bad, which is actually entropy. Oh my goodness, I love this series so much, and it has been so long since the 9th book came out. I actually thought the series was probably over and done with. I'm not sure what Diane Duane has been writing in the past couple of years, but when I saw this book finally had a title, finally had a cover, and a solid release date, I was over the moon. The first book in the series came out in the 80s. It was called So You Want to Be a Wizard, and the series follows our teenage protagonists' friends named Nita and Kit, who discover that they are wizards and then go on a lot of wizarding adventures around the universe, and they are literally battling against the forces of entropy. This latest book appears to take place at a wizarding event called The Invitational, and it seems like our protagonists will be competing for some very high stakes involving the fate of the universe. Also in February, Ace is publishing Kingfisher by Patricia A. McKillop, which I think is her first book in a couple of years. I'm not up to date on her bibliography, but I don't think many of her books are even in series. Most of them are standalones. I love McKillop's brand of fantasy. she just writes so richly. Her stories are so atmospheric, and it's a kind of fantasy. It's very mythic about kings and queens and lost princesses and sorceresses and stuff. And this book seems to have all the plot character trademarks I know from McKillop, including ancient magic on the rise. So when I read these books, I mainly expect to get something that almost feels in the tradition of bards and storytellers. So I'm really looking forward to this, even though I don't know that much about it. League of Dragons by Naomi Novik is coming out from Del Rey in March, and this is the 9th and final book in her Temeraire series, which is about dragons fighting in the Napoleonic Wars. It follows our British officer Lawrence and his dragon Temeraire, and throughout their adventures, they end up going to like all the major continents and major cultures and seeing how dragons are used in those societies. And Temeraire has this ongoing social agenda. He wants to improve the living conditions and the rights of dragons in England, who are almost treated like beasts of burden when they are in fact very intelligent. So this series started off really strong. I really loved His Majesty's Dragon, which is also called Temeraire. It was a very, very fantastic dragon book, and I loved it. But the series has steadily gotten just a little bit more boring with each book, maybe because it's a bit too long, but I've read 6 of the books now, and I really want to finish the series because I want to know the payoff with Lawrence and Temeraire hopefully helping to defeat Napoleon. And yeah, I just want to finish the series. And then we have a book I am so looking forward to, guys. I am so excited thinking about this. The Winged Histories by Sofia Samatara is coming out from Small Beer Press in March. I pre-ordered this book months ago. As soon as it was announced, as soon as you could pre-order it, I had hit that button. This book is, I think, kind of a loose sequel to A Stranger in Alondria, but it's definitely set in the same world as that book. Probably completely different characters, completely different time period, part of the world and all that, but I'm so looking forward to her writing style. That's part of why I loved A Stranger in Alondria. She's a beautiful, beautiful writer. So I'm gonna read you the synopsis of The Winged Histories because it probably tells you most succinctly what this is gonna be about. 4 women, soldier, scholar, poet, and socialite, are caught up on different sides of a violent rebellion. As war erupts and their families are torn apart, they fear they may disappear into the unwritten pages of history. Using the sword and the pen, the body and the voice, they struggle not just to survive, but to make history. So, women making history in a fantasy world that I love. Oh yeah. Next, Company Town by Madeline Ashby is coming out from Tor in April 2016. This is an unusual book because it was actually on my last year's list of most anticipated books coming out in 2015, because this book, weird things have happened with it. It was originally announced to be coming out from Angry Robot Books, I think in March of 2015, and then it disappeared. And it turns out the book was moved to Tor. She like switched publishers, and then if I remember the interview I read with her said that she like rewrote it or she did something else with it because the publisher switch meant she could. So it does seem like it's really gonna come out now, but for all that it's been announced for probably 2 years now, I don't know if I've ever seen a detailed summary of what the book is actually about. I think it is about a female character on an offshore oil rig in a company town investigating a series of murders somehow related to the company. I'm not sure, but at some point this made it to my to-read list, and now that it seems like it's finally going to come out, I'm like, yes, I can finally read something by Madeline Ashby. I have a bunch of things from Tor on my list, you can tell. Also in April 2016, Death's End by Liu Cixin, translated by Ken Liu, is coming out, and this is the 3rd and final book in the Three Body Problem science fiction series that is being translated from Chinese. I've only read the first book, I haven't gotten The Dark Forest yet, and so I've heard a lot of people are DNFing The Dark Forest because it seems to be a combination perhaps of Liu's very unusual writing style and the switch in translators. The 1st and 3rd books are translated by Ken Liu and the 2nd book is translated by a different person. And I think I'm really looking forward to Death's End if I can get through the Dark Forest, because Ken Liu is back as the translator, and I'm hoping that that will make the book easier to read. The series is about humanity discovering that aliens are coming to conquer them in a couple hundred years, and they have to prepare for that. And from everything I've heard, the second and third books are supposed to be when the story really gets exciting. So I would love to finish the series. The next book is not a novel. It is Geek, Feminist Revolution by Cameron Hurley, coming out from Tor in May 2016. This is a collection of Cameron Hurley's essays on feminism, geek culture, and I think her journey as a writer. I haven't read the probably most famous essay that's going to be in this collection, which she won a Hugo Award for. That's We Have Always Fought, which I think is about the role of women in war and literature, maybe. So yeah, I need to read that. I have really enjoyed reading some of Cameron Hurley's columns and other places. She's written some commentary essays for Uncanny Magazine. I think she contributes a regular column to Locus Magazine, which I am reading now. And I'm just really interested in her opinion, her perspective, her opinion on feminism and everything in science fiction and fantasy has always been very interesting to me. She's a very vocal voice, and I like that. Next is Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer, coming out from Tor in May. I came across this book because Joe Walton has been singing its praises already, and Walton is one of my favorite authors like ever, and if she recommends something, I must get it. And it does sound really interesting. It's the first book in a projected quartet, and it's described as a political SF epic, and it seems like it's going to be a 25th century science fiction utopia that's being destabilized, and hey, that sounds pretty epic to me. I'm going to stop there because that was 10 things from January through May. This is a real mess of a video, but I had fun talking about them. So yeah, if you're excited about any of these and you want to read them, please let me know down below. There are, of course, a lot of things I'm not mentioning because even though I'm reading the series, I'm so far behind the new releases that I'm not even sure I will catch up in 2016, so yeah. And I'll be back with part 2 in a couple of days or early next week. And until then, bye.